Hello, welcome to Zoological Highlights. We're on episode 237. Ben is trying to guess a frog call. And I'm still the undisputed champ of this game, having won 3 and Ben's won 2. From a possible probably 100 points, we've got 5.
But what a 5. You could just sort of picture them, can't you? There's a sort of shallow pond, maybe 5,000 to 7,000 of them, just sort of writhing around.
You're picturing the most generic frog behaviour. You need to narrow it down.
Well, this is unfortunately my level of frog call expertise. Is where it's guiding me.
This is one of those. Yeah, this is one of those frogs where, like, I could so easily give you a clue and you'd get it, but I don't want to be losing at the game, so I'm not going to do that.
So it's. Ooh, would you at least give me a continent?
I'll give you a continent. And okay,
see, that's the sort of field I was imagining, with the pond on the side of it, like a agricultural sort of ditch.
Really? Okay. Well, you're in the right lines. Agricultural, yes. This call, actually, we owe a thank you to Olivier Swift for recording this and putting it online.
It's a good call.
That's a French-sounding name, isn't it? Olivier.
Yeah, but now you're assuming that I know European frogs, and
okay,
it's
found in the same country as the species we're focusing on this episode later on.
All right. So later on, we're looking at the common wool lizard, which is widely distributed across all of Europe, pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
It doesn't narrow that down. Okay. So I'm gonna go with the pool frog, right? The European pool frog.
Robundus, isn't it?
Is that what they're? Yeah, they're the ones that are sort of they've made it to the UK, but it's sort of questionable whether they should really be here or not. Those guys.
I think it's now accepted that they should have been here.
Okay, they've got the stamp of approval.
Yes.
Well, fantastic. Those guys.
Really let them go extinct naturally. No, it's not pool frog, which is Pelophylax lessenae. I don't know why I don't know where I got Robundus from. I don't know what that is. But then that's not it, Ben, unfortunately. It's not a pool frog. It is a very similar species, though. You're going to kick yourself here. It was, in fact, the edible frog.
Please, can you tell me it's got a different name, though?
No, everyone just calls it the edible frog because it's delicious and it's proud of it. So by not calling it the edible frog, you'd actually be doing it.
Oh, I see. It named itself the edible frog as some sort of like advertising gambit to get itself eaten. That sounds like a brain parasite doing that, does.
Oh, okay. So the marsh frog is Robunda. There we go.
That's okay. Yeah. There you go.
The edible frog is Pelophylax esculentus.
Well, I'm pretty satisfied getting to genus.
Oh no, you did well.
That's
I know. Credit where credit's due. So this is actually a species it's widespread in Europe, but it's also found in Croatia, which is what I was looking for because we're talking about some Croatian lizards later. I think there are occasionally some in the UK. Introduced to the UK.
Well, so, I would imagine if it's called the edible frog, it has been incidentally released in places beyond its natural range.
It's big and green.
It's big.
Pretty happy to live in anthropogenically altered habitats. There's apparently, Ben, right? So there's this. I was looking up frogs in Croatia because I wanted to find a frog from Croatia for this episode, obviously. And the first thing that comes up on Google is this place in Split, which is in Croatia, a city, and it's called Froggyland, and it's this museum, and it features over 500 taxidermied frogs, but they're all posed in human-like dioramas.
I hate what you're saying. I hate it.
It does seem like remarkably disrespectful to the frog.
I've been in places that have done similar things taxidermy-wise, and they are an affront to everything that is good and pure in the world.
Yeah. I was in a pub recently and they had some squirrels and they were set up as if they were
fishing.
Sword fighting.
Oh, they were sword fighting.
Yeah,
I see. Fencing squirrels,
I was like,
nah.
I don't know. You're like fundamentally tarnishing the credibility and respectability of that animal forever. It's permanently posed in a way which like disrespects it. Yeah, it doesn't seem right to me. But anyway, this collection in Split, 500 frogs, was the life's work of a Hungarian taxidermist called Ferenc Mer. And there are like classroom scenes, circuses, a courtroom, even a courtroom of frogs. And apparently they were prepared using a unique technique, which involves stuffing them with corks through the mouth. So they have no external incisions. So not only are they doing all these things, but they're really pure form of taxidermy.
Amazing.
Amazing.
It sounds nightmarish.
Life's work.
I'm gonna just, at the risk of derailing things from the taxidermy frog. What was it? A museum?
Yes, Froggyland.
Froggyland. I went looking up pictures of edible frogs. I'm like, I need to see this big green frog. What was the Latin name, scientific name you gave me for pool frog?
Rana ribunda. Oh no, sorry, pool frog, Rana lessenae.
Right. I would like the edible frog Wikipedia page. Now, Wikipedia can be edited by stuff, it might be out of date. But they're suggesting that the edible frog is a hybrid between the pool frog and the marsh frog. And therefore, my pool frog guess is not entirely incorrect. There are some genes in there. Because then pool frog is your classic looking green frog from Europe, right? And then marsh frog is also what you were just bringing up as well. An edible frog is potentially somewhere in between.
You're right. I had no idea that it's a hybrid species. Mate, so you got it right. There's no way you can say it's not right if you've got one of the parental species. Mate, how has it never occurred to me? Together with hybrid populations may also contain haploids. What?
Because I was just looking for a better name. I was just like, there must be a better name than edible frog. But basically the better names start pushing it closer to just calling it the same thing as pool frog or marsh frog or whatever, like common water frog or green frog.
So it is a hybrid. That's absolutely mental. But the hybrids themselves can breed together and they do their own thing as well.
I think it's... Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be more complicated than that. I'm not willing to say yes. I mean, they can do their own thing. They seem to be able to do something, but I'm not going to read hybridogenesis aspect here because it goes on and on and on. Maybe something for a future episode if we want to get into the weird hybridization of...
Maybe we should park this because this seems like it's pretty...
I mean, this seems genuinely interesting and yeah.
Yeah, but I have to say, Ben, you've got a point there. So what did you say? Did you say pool frog or marsh frog?
I was saying, well, if pool frogs, the boys that have made their way to the UK sort of thing, that's what I was going for.
Yeah, I think...
Okay, one of only 4 amphibian species recognised by the UK government as protected under the Biodiversity Action Plan, blah, 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 blah. The pool frog was not always recognised as a native British species, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
It's been reintroduced in Norfolk, 2 sites, because John Baker does it all. Very cool. Well, there we go. And I must confess my own ignorance at the edible frog being a hybrid.
I mean,
so you've got a point.
That's totally fine. Totally forgivable. I mean, this is just me looking at Wikipedia just on the off chance to find a good picture of one.
But yeah, you get a point, Ben. So it's 3-all. You've actually tied it up. Tied it
up with edible frog on a technicality.
But still, Ben, well done. That's a point, which very rare that one of us get a point. And the fact that we're now tied up means that the competitiveness is going to go skyrocketing. So beware that I'm going to be taking this even more seriously than
There'll be no more clues.
Possibly even listening to frog calls in my spare time.
The clue of somewhere in Europe, it's gone.
Forget it. No, forget it. No way. But then let's move on, because we're not just talking about confusing frogs today. We're talking about lizards. So we got a paper here by Maune, Wittenbreder, Lisičić, Caspers, Camerlenghi, Damas-Moreira I. That's it, Damas-Moreira. City lizards are more social. Published in biology letters.
So
there we go.
Common wall lizard or European wall lizard is the species being examined here. I've already sort of brought them up. Covered
Podacus.
Loads of everywhere from the Iberian Peninsula all the way over to middle of Turkey. Sort of from west to east. North, you're talking North France, and then all the way down to the end of sort of Greece and Italy as well.
And all the way northwest to Bournemouth, where I live, because they've come across and
they are just about, aren't they? They are just about across on the other side.
Yeah, which this paper actually makes me think that we should be doing more behavioural studies on the ones in Bournemouth. Like, they're so easy to observe; it's crazy. They're literally just everywhere on the walls near the beach.
I mean, if they're sort of close to uni stuff, that's prime like undergrad, master student thesis stuff. Get a long term like year-on-year thing going and see what they're doing.
It's definitely something worth bearing in mind. So yeah, cities. We're talking about cities. Cities are getting bigger, not smaller. Human cities. The percentage of people that live in cities is still growing. Currently, it's over half of the people in the world, but it's projected to increase to 68% of all humans by 2050, when the total population is expected to reach 9.7 billion. So we've got loads of humans. They're all living in cities, or more and more of them are living in cities. And consequently, cities are growing. And there are lots of potential cities for animals to live in. And they are obviously they're lands of opportunity, but they're also can be quite taxing for animals.
High risk, high reward is probably
it does tend to be the case, doesn't it?
I don't know if that's actually the case, but it's certainly the more dramatic way of thinking about it.
I think for me, cities, when I think of human life in cities, it mimics animals, right? Life's more stressful, more social, worse food, less lifespan.
Worse food, you reckon?
For animals more. Humans.
For animals,
but
yes.
I think broadly speaking, like the diet, not like the quality of restaurants, but like the quality of diets of people in cities, I would guess would be worse than people in rural areas.
Oh, okay. If you're talking averages, yeah, potentially. I was just thinking it's you can get a lot more sort of weirder, more interesting ingredients in cities a lot of the times than if you're in rural areas. Cuisine where superior. You're kind of limited.
The cuisine is superior, but I think that like by and large people's diets are worse. Like, you know how like urban foxes, they're really like abundant. Cities, they eat trash, rubbish. We call it rubbish.
I mean, so urban foxes, I know for sure. I know that there are studies on birds, that you've got birds that eat. I'm specifically thinking of American crows, this study that eating more urban sourced food stuffs tended to be less healthy, but more numerous, I think is the way around. I might be misremembering this. I don't have the paper to hand. But basically there's this trade-off where the diet it's good enough to keep a population going, but individuals themselves aren't necessarily having a better time.
That's how I always think of it.
Yeah, trade-offs.
And like you, as we've kind of alluded to, their impacts. We're actually focusing on social impacts. We've been talking more broadly, but this paper focuses on social impacts, and the impacts on the social lives of other groups of animals are obviously better studied. So mammals and birds, there's research on them where impacts on sociality can actually be varied as a result of city living. Sometimes urban animals compete more. Pardon?
We had that chameleon paper a few episodes back, right? That they were changing their levels of aggression.
They were more brutal. And they had bigger, stronger jaws. Yeah, that was one of Crystal Tolley's
bite force and willing to fight.
Man, I love that study system. God, talk to me about chameleons. So cool. So, yeah, sometimes urban animals compete more, and sometimes they're kind of forced to be in closer proximity and demonstrate more tolerant social behavior, or, as in the case of chameleons, more aggressive behavior. Mm-hmm. But they kind of end up aggregating around resources, which tend to be harder to find in urban areas. So you might end up with situations where animals are kind of like artificially squeezed together. Right. Because you could end up with a city which has a resource which is like, very locally available, but where it is available, it's abundant. So then it's this big resource that lots of things are trying to share. And we're talking about specifically Podacus malaris, this wool lizard, in their native Croatia and Central Europe. And it shouldn't be that really surprising to find them in an urban environment, being as they're called wool lizards, and wools are only found in human areas. So
they're adaptable.
Yeah, they basically
adaptable species, aren't they? I mean,
and they had this. They basically had 2 study sites in Croatia. One was in the city of Rovinj, which is a really popular tourist destination, loads of humans, and a really built up area. And then they had a park nearby, which is like a coastal area with some like forest and natural rocky outcrops, minimum human disturbance and less infrastructure. And so they kind of use these as their 2 comparative sites for human dominated and not. It is quite telling that even their not human dominated site is a park. So,
it's less dominated.
Nothing is more annoying though than city slickers telling me we're going to get some nature and then finding yourself in an urban park. Oh my God, get me out of here. Rush hour in the park. Anyway.
Depends on the size of the park.
Park's a park, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just grass. There's no wildlife there. I'm just being cynical.
Nah. There's urban parks that are reasonable, that have areas that aren't just grass, for sure, and that are sizable enough to make a difference.
There are a few, yeah, there are a few.
I mean, there was a good one in Madrid that we found some wonderful. What did we see? Chukars in there, and that was like walking distance from the center of the city. Seen some outrageous chukars. Are like little chubby. Are they quails? Are they a type of quail?
Oh, okay. Okay, nice.
Lovely little guys. Hadn't seen them before.
Little stocky bird. Nice.
Yeah. And I think we saw peregrine in there as well. And Central Park in New York. Yes, it's a very parky park, but because New York is so urban, the concentration of what remains in terms of wildlife in Central Park is outrageous. Like, actually outrageous. Only place I've seen a mandarin duck. Wasn't meant to be there.
I was going to say, I've seen a mandarin duck in London.
Yeah. We saw, one time over there, we saw 3 different species of owl within like 100 meters of each other.
Owls is bonkers. That's absolutely insane. There are owls.
What was it? It was a barred owl and one of those little saw-whet owls and a third type of owl, I forget.
Oh. What was the duck you just mentioned?
Mandarin duck.
Yeah, I've seen one of them in the Regent's Canal. You can just tell they're not going to be there. They're way too posh.
They are really posh. They are the most posh duck.
You don't belong in the canal, mate. What are you doing?
Fantastic.
You're not on Mallard.
All I'm saying is,
so
parks are valuable. Don't knock them all.
Okay, fair enough. I won't judge all parks. I'm just a bit of a park cynic. Yeah, so we've got these 2 sites for these wool lizards. They went and visited each one a bunch of times. They marked a total of 94 lizards, and they were trying to see how much are they socializing. So it's not socializing in the sense that you'd kind of probably think straight off the bat. Socializing to us is obviously like going out for, what do we do these days? We go for a coffee. Maybe you go and play badminton with your pal. With wool lizards, it's more socialization by proximity. So it's like that lizard's near that lizard, they can see each other. Ergo, they are in some way socializing.
Yes. And the contrast is this is a recognized sort of territorial species. I don't know what sort of backing that has. I'm assuming that common wool lizards have been very carefully studied in terms of territoriality, and we haven't got a, brown anole situation on our hands, where actually the territoriality is perhaps not the best way of characterizing them. So assuming territoriality and that they are antagonistic towards each other when in proximity. So basically the absence of that sort of aggressive interaction is tolerance, is this sort of social connectedness, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, they use spatial proximity as a proxy for social association. So if a lizard was seen within 2 meters of another lizard and they weren't fighting or having sex, then it's considered a social association.
Right.
They removed the fights and the copulations because There just weren't enough of them, and it was
super rare,
study, basically.
Which makes sense because you think you're observing these lizards a very small percentage of time. So you're very unlikely to see, and then you just don't have enough data to work with, basically.
If they were copulating full time, there wouldn't be enough bug eating going on. So
right.
And so they basically wanted to see, in order to see whether urbanization predicts the social behavior of these lizards, they wanted to compare how many social connections and the strength of social connections they had between these two habitats. So the number of social connections is how many other lizards they came into contact with. And the strength of the social association is like how many times they were coming into contact with them on average, basically any individual lizard. It's a bit of a derived metric. But
individually identified lizards, right?
Yeah. They've all got numbers. And so, yeah, basically then they could say, okay, they're either connected to a social network or not, and they're also more or less social based on how many individuals they encounter and how often they encounter them. And it was really striking, actually. So in the urban population, 81% of individuals were connected to a social network where they're like bumping into other lizards while observed, while in the non-urban site, it was only 23%. So 81% versus 23% actually even are observed in association with another lizard, which had been marked during the study. And on average, urban lizard had 1.9 social connections, while non-urban lizards only had 0.3. So that's most lizards not having any kind of social connection.
Much more sort of disparate in their own little territories, potentially.
Absolutely.
And so your mind might be going, okay, well, maybe the urban ones are easier to find, and therefore you're finding more, and therefore you're finding more social connections and things. But this disparity between the urban and the non-urban in terms of social connectedness remains even if you include lizards that had not been captured, had not been marked. You get the same, it bumps up the social connections or associations a little bit more. You've got 3.3 for the urban and then 0.8 for the non-urban, but that pattern is still remaining of the urban ones being way, way, way more connected and interacting with way more lizards more frequently.
And like I think you were about to say, maybe you did, they controlled for population density by...
Right, that's the next step, isn't it? It's like, okay, well, maybe it's not a detection thing, maybe it's an underlying density thing, and that does not explain these differences. The sort of, what was it? It was an increase in the urban population, but nowhere near enough to explain the difference in the social networks.
So you have this situation where the urban lizards have these much more social lives, essentially, even in terms of, you know, soft sociality, where they're basically encountering other lizards and tolerating them on a much more frequent basis. And so, yeah, they had stronger social connections and more social connections, which suggests this sort of shift towards increased social tolerance, not explained by population density. And, you know, that kind of tracks because in cities, animals are often confined to sort of smaller, isolated habitat patches surrounded by like built infrastructure.
Like so deeply unsuitable areas. You've got this patch matrix set up where the matrix is the middle of a road, you know?
So you've either got nice sort of green, small green area with a nice wall, and then immediately adjacent to it, skyscraper. So it's like, yeah,
very high contrast.
One is not. And like you say, because there's all this infrastructure around, it can restrict their dispersal, so they get stuck in small areas, and that limits their opportunities to avoid each other. And so you end up with a situation where you're increasing the frequency of repeated encounters with other individuals. And presumably that is just selecting for reduced aggression and greater tolerance when you have familiar neighbors.
Especially, so if you're in an environment that you can't sort of enact a tight territory that you can patrol because there's just too many lizards bumping into you all the time, the costs of trying to maintain that might just become too great. And therefore, well, actually the more reasonable approach now is to be more tolerant of other lizards, but assuming there is also sufficient resources to go around, which in urban environment, like we were talking at the beginning, maybe when it comes to food sort of stuff, actually urban environment is doing perfectly fine in that regard. So it might not be a food thing at all. They do sort of bring up some like questions, what could this be doing population genetics wise, which I think are quite interesting, where they're sort of suggesting maybe this could have repercussions for like inbreeding depression, where you've got more closely related individuals closer together, sort of tight-knit.
Being more tolerant.
And so it's not pushing that dispersal as aggressively, potentially.
Yeah. Because you could imagine that if you're hatched out, they...
Are you thinking viviparous?
Because I think they lay eggs, these guys. But if you've got more aggressive parents, they're more likely to start kicking the life out of you before you're even grown up. And then it's like, I better get out of here. This is basically what you're describing, right? That like forced...
A little bit.
Dispersal. Which you could see. The other thing I think is worth mentioning is that like in this paper, they basically are looking at increased social tolerance rather than sociality, like per se, I guess. But obviously lizards are considered the lower end of the sociality spectrum right now, but it's not inconceivable that these lizards are more social than we think. And they didn't look at like family relatedness or familiarity or like who's mating with who, because it could be that these lizards they're tolerant of are either more closely related to them, or they've like got some kind of reproductive history with them. We just don't know anything about these lizards' sociality except for when they come into contact with each other. So it's a very broad stroke, which is totally fine.
It is. It's just sort of hinting at where to go next. Because I do think in investigating the inbreeding aspect, you'd end up investigating the social relations in sort of relation to their interrelatedness, which it's bringing up that rattlesnake sociality study. It's bringing up some of the sleepy lizard stuff that we've covered previously on the podcast. Like, there is definitely some research in that realm that points to some interesting dynamics going on there with different social reactions to individuals of differing interrelatedness. Super interesting, especially if there is more social organization ongoing in urban areas, because it kind of has to happen because of the space restrictions, if it is a space restriction.
100%. So cool study, nice social lizards. Wool lizards are really beautiful. They've got like greeny black backs. They're really nice. And yeah, like I say, you can see them here. If I wanted to go and see a lizard, probably not now. Maybe now. It's kind of sunny today, but probably not.
It's getting pretty chilly, isn't it?
Lizards. Yeah, it is getting pretty chilly. Although it was like 16 degrees yesterday, so it's
16 degrees.
Yeah, it's conceivable that they might be out and about, but probably not. Yes, and wool lizards are confirmed as egg laying. I thought they were. I just wanted to double check before I look like an idiot.
Well, it's because we've got the other guys.
The common lizard.
Togo
vivipara.
There you go, vivipara, which gives you the clue in the name, is what I was trying to get at.
But even they aren't fully viviparous, because they also have individuals with parts of their range which have gone back to laying eggs, right? It's like a flexible...
Yes, they're more... It's a shame their name is so tied to that when they're kind of on the boundary of... Yeah.
Dumb name. But, we didn't know any better at the time, so fair enough. So, have we got any other business for this week?
Nope, I do not.
I brought you a little treat to talk about. And actually, I have to thank one of our patrons, Jonathan Whitaker. So thank you very much, Jonathan. And also, thank you for your stories about finding flat-necked chameleons as a kid, although they did make me quite jealous, because I've still never seen one in the wild, despite massive amounts of effort.
Specifically, flat-necked is on the list, is it?
Oh, big star.
Where are they found?
But, they're really widely distributed. They're found all the way from, like, South Africa, northeast, like... I can't remember how far north the east, but it's like a significant chunk of the African continent.
So there's opportunities. It's you have been in areas that they should have been hanging around, is what you're saying.
I think they're sort of patchily distributed all over.
Mm-hmm.
All over southern Africa. So like Namibia, all the way east, it looks like. Oh, I don't know my African countries that well. I guess that's like Mozambique and Zimbabwe. So they're pretty widely distributed, but I'd really like to see one. And Jonathan's seen loads as a kid. And he also sent us this paper, which he said, Jonathan sent us this. He said, a herpetology team won an Ig Nobel Prize. So you know the Ig Nobel Prize?
It's like cats are liquid, pigeons can see certain colours or something. We'll last a couple of them.
So there was this one which was awarded for a herpetology team because they discovered that rainbow lizards, which is agama, which are this like common agamid that lives all over Africa, I think. And basically they mostly eat arthropods, But in this place in Togo, West Africa, there's like a resort and there's a pizza restaurant. And the authors of this study saw lizards steal a piece of pizza and run away with it. And it basically gave them the idea that maybe they could test to see what kind of flavor of pizza the agamas like. And it turns out that they really like 4-cheese pizza. They're big 4-cheese pizza people.
I mean,
which
same.
is mental, right? But they said here they tried them on 2 different types of pizza.
Okay, I've got follow-up questions, but carry on.
And they put out a 4-cheese, but they also put out a 4 seasons, which I don't understand, because how a 4 seasons pizza is 4 different quarters of the pizza have different toppings on it. So surely which slice you choose is going to have a big impact on what you're actually giving.
Is that what that means?
I thought that's what it meant.
I've never heard of that, if I'm honest.
You've never heard of that?
No.
What, 4 seasons pizza having 4 different...
just 4 seasons pizza. I've never heard that term before in my life.
Well, I'm just
I would have guessed that it had 4 different, like, herbs on it.
Well, I think it's a combination of, like, ham, pineapple, mushroom, tomato, and then maybe artichoke or chicken. But then it seems like some people put all 4 seasons in one and other people put them separated out.
See, there we go. It's an imprecise term then. So presumably was covered the whole pizza equally, and therefore wouldn't be running into the problem that you're saying, that they would be picking a slice based on its topping.
It's interesting though, because they just seem to love this 4-cheese pizza, and they didn't eat the other one, and they would like fight over it. They won't, basically when you put pizza down among these agamas, it's carnage. They're fighting, they're gorging on pizza, and they seem to think it's the cheese that maybe they like, but I would have thought the other one had a cheese on it. So
well, see, this is where one of my follow-up questions is so these lizards can digest lactose?
I mean, I have no idea.
Are they having a horrible time? Is it one of these, like, is pizza an ecological trap for agama?
It could be. I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe they can digest it, but it would be very surprising to me. They don't have any milk consumption in there.
But then reptile digestive systems, some of them are built like just in like monitor lizards and stuff, can eat so much, no problem. I mean, we covered we covered recently something about bone digestion, right? It was on Any Other Business or something like that. But like really particular adaptations that can just, I mean, if you can chew through bone,
cheese should be not an issue.
I mean, I don't know. Cheese is pretty weird, but
cheese is weird. A lot of humans struggle with cheese.
4-cheese pizza is Agama's favorite pizza.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So thanks, Jonathan, for sharing that with us.
That's going to sit with me for a long time. I want to know more. Well then, maybe it's time to start writing that pizza-based lizard fellowship, Ben. Pizza-based lizard fellowship. Cool. Well, I don't have anything else for this episode. What can follow up that? I mean, come on. What can top it? That's the end, isn't it? Pizza's the logical conclusion. So, yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. If you've got a question or a correction, if we got something wrong, or you want to tell us about your research and focus on it for the podcast, we might do it. herbhighlights@gmail.com is the email address for that. If you want to support us, we're so grateful to our patrons. It would be amazing to get more patrons, make some more money. We're both scientists looking for work now, so think about it. The reality's coming home. The realities are getting real, but if not, listen for free. That's what it's for. Enjoy it. And all that remains to be said is thank you for listening. Thanks for listening.